Hey everyone, welcome to Instant News. So, I want to start with a question for you. What does true courage really look like? Is it physical, like dominating on a basketball court? Or is it something else, something deeper, like facing your biggest fears in front of the whole world? Today, we're going to talk about the story of Jason Collins, an NBA trailblazer who is facing two totally different but equally huge fights for his life. So let's start with what's happening right now. The story really kicks off with a recent and pretty devastating announcement. His family first shared that the former NBA star had a brain tumor. But the full story, well, that would come from Jason Collins himself. In his own words, Jason Collins shared this absolutely heartbreaking diagnosis: stage 4 glioblastoma. He talked about how his life just changed in an instant. One minute he was getting married. Just a few months later, after he started struggling with his focus and memory, he got the news. So what is glioblastoma? Well, it's this incredibly aggressive kind of cancer. Collins himself painted a really terrifying picture of it, calling it a monster with tentacles. And because these tumors are so deep inside the brain, they are just notoriously hard to treat, especially when they start attacking the very things that make you you, your personality, your memories. Now, a battle against a disease like this would be the defining fight of anyone's life, right? But for Jason Collins, what's so remarkable is that this is the second time he stood on a global stage to face a massive struggle. To really get the courage he's showing today, we've got to go back in time. So before he became a household name for his courage off the court, Jason Collins was a really respected NBA journeyman. He was one of those players who built a long, successful career just through pure grit and hard work. His career lasted 13 seasons after he was drafted way back in 2001. A huge highlight was his time with the New Jersey Nets. He was a super important defensive player for them, and they made it to the NBA Finals twice. For over a decade, he was just a constant, reliable guy in the league. Collins wasn't a superstar scorer, but he was exactly the kind of tough, smart player every great team needs. He's 7 feet tall, and his main job was just physical defense against the league's biggest guys, like Shaquille O'Neal. That kind of role takes a special kind of toughness and intelligence. Then, in 2013, right in the middle of his career, Jason Collins decided to share a personal truth that he'd held privately for years. And his decision? It sent shockwaves through the entire world of sports. These were the very first words of his essay in Sports Illustrated. So simple, so direct, and just absolutely groundbreaking. He chose to tell his story, his way, knowing full well he was about to be the first. To really understand how big that moment was, just think about this. Before his announcement, there were exactly 0 active, openly gay male athletes across all 4 major American pro sports leagues. 0. And after his announcement, there was 1. He was the one. Coming out was one thing, but the next big question was, would he ever play in the NBA again? As a free agent, he just waited by the phone, not knowing if his career was totally over. And then, a team called. On February 23, 2014, Collins signed a contract with the Brooklyn Nets. That night, when he stepped onto the court against the Lakers, he officially became the first active, openly gay athlete to play in any major American men's pro sport. It was a huge historic moment. For his return, he picked a new jersey number, 98. This wasn't a random choice at all. It carried a really deep and important message. Do you know the story behind it? The number was this incredibly powerful tribute. Collins wore 98 to honor Matthew Shepard, a gay student who was tragically murdered in a hate crime back in 1998. With that choice, Collins made it so clear that his return to the court was about something so much bigger than basketball. It was a statement of solidarity and remembrance. In all of this, it brings us back to today. That same deep well of courage that he pulled from back in 2013 is exactly what he's using now in his fight against glioblastoma. This quote tells you so much about his mindset. He's tackling his diagnosis like it's a game plan. He compares hearing the news to being told he had to go guard Shaq. It's just an incredible way to frame it, turning the fear of a medical battle into the focus of an athletic challenge. And get this, he used this exact same quote back in 2013 when he came out. He knew back then that being the first meant you're going to face resistance, you're going to take some hits. And now, facing a disease with no easy cure, he's taking on that same trailblazer identity, pushing into the unknown to try and pave a new way forward. And he's not just following the standard treatment path. Collins and his husband have been looking all over the world for the newest, most cutting-edge options. This actually led him to a clinic in Singapore for a special kind of targeted chemotherapy. The whole strategy is to buy enough time for doctors to develop a personalized treatment, a therapy made just for him. He's literally fighting on the frontiers of medicine. So when you step back and you look at his whole journey, it's so clear that Jason Collins' legacy isn't going to be defined by just one moment or one fight, but by a lifetime of courage and purpose. You can really see his legacy as having three powerful parts. First, he's a trailblazer. He shattered one of the last big barriers in pro sports, and he made it easier for every athlete who comes after him. Second, he's an advocate. He's used his platform nonstop to support LGBTQ+ youth. And finally, he's an inspiration. He's determined that his personal battle with cancer might help pioneer treatments that could one day save tons of other people. And this quote, it really says it all, doesn't it? He's facing this terrifying diagnosis where the standard prognosis is just over a year, and his focus is still on helping other people. It's just this incredibly selfless act that totally redefines what strength is. So that brings us back to our first question. After hearing his story, from the basketball court to the cutting edge of medical science, what do you think? What does true strength really look like? Jason Collins' story is such a powerful lesson in courage. We will love to hear what you've taken away from it. Please share your thoughts and any messages of support for him down in the comments. If you found this explainer valuable, please hit that like button and share it with someone. And for more deep dives that break down these important stories, make sure you subscribe to Instant News. Thanks for watching.